suggest folks do that if they don't actually care about their coworkers?
Reaching out and hitting them up on Slack via email.
Brilow don't care about her coworker. That's why I asked that question. I was like, and then if you don't give a shit, how do you do that? Hey y'all, it's Chimdy. Look, I'm back. Here's the lovely Brilow. If you've been an eagle-eyed viewer, you've seen her in random B-roll. Brionna, do you prefer Brionna or Brilow?
Brilow.
Okay. Also, she once posted a photo of us on her Instagram. And then her friends were like,
how do you know Chimdy?
And I was like,
famous. She's famous.
Also, you gassed me up when I had like 4,000 subscribers. You were sending my page to people.
You got like 11?
I'm at 13 now.
Whoa! Subscribe to her page.
Okay, you're hearing it from her. Right? I'm not even asking you. She's asking you. We also used to work at the same job, and she does still work there. But I moved on. Obviously, I moved on to bigger and better. But you decided to still work there. Love that for you. Employment, so cute. I love my job. She's so good at it. Genuinely so good. At our last job, we do a lot of coaching for folks. And so she's got years and years and years of coaching people. Also, you know, basically in your free time to start coaching your like friends who themselves were going on their own journey. You were helping people get raises and promotions and all these things. And now you are very kindly giving that opportunity to you all. You know, if you want to get some lovely coaching, get some more money, get some respect at your job, Brilow's the one to help you out.
Yeah.
And I asked you all, I was like, okay, should we talk about self-worth and how to value yourself? Or should we talk about that disrespect? And the worth one went out, so we're gonna focus on that, but I think we might just kind of reference some of those things around respect. Got our notes here on our phone, and we're gonna talk about the 5 ways to establish your worth at work. Brilow, what's number 1?
Kicking it off. So number 1 in establishing your worth, you have to actually know and believe your worth.
Shocking.
Not to
Believe it or not, if you don't believe you're worthy, other people will be like, I don't know, I don't see it.
It sounds so cliche, but you have to actually believe it. Your body's gonna know that it's all cap. So actually reflect on the things that you do well, strengths as much as your weaknesses. I know we like to harp on our weaknesses all the time, and it's like, no, what are you good at? Ask your friends and the people who know and love you, like, what are you good at? I can definitely say Chimdy has helped me tremendously in terms of my confidence and getting over imposter syndrome, genuinely, because like, I know this is someone who I work closely with, so if she's telling me I'm doing a good job, she could have just been quiet. Why would she just lie, you know, for no reason?
And I'm a big advocate of minding your business. That is what I would do, as I would be quiet.
She could have sat there and just ate her food, but she decided to tell
You need to know the truth. All right, you're great. You're great.
You have to actually, you know, hear from the folks who see you every day and work with you. Repeat those things back to yourself. People talk about affirmations and positive affirmations. I thought that it was BS. Chimdy can even tell you in my bathroom, like, I literally have post-it notes, because that actually helps. Say these things to yourself repeatedly and you will start to believe. I know for me with work, I would tell myself a story of, I'm gonna be fired any day now, I'm actually not good at this job. I still tell myself that story, that I'm like, I wasn't that good at that job, but just made a lot of friends. Like, that's still low-key a story I tell myself. Lying.
So it's like,
brilliant. Y'all know she's brilliant.
It's true, I'm great. Whatever you believe, you're gonna look for things to back up what you believe. Yeah. So once you start looking for things that say, actually, I'm great and I deserve everything I have and I deserve even more, you're gonna start finding those things and building that evidence to get those things.
So number 2 is understanding the organization, the work culture, the language they use, especially their mission and their goals. If you're working at an organization and feel really out of place, you might not really be aligned with the culture, you might not really be aligned with the mission. Be sure to ask folks who've been there for a while, like, what is the culture? In interviews, I always ask the culture question. I am someone who's super goofy, loud sometimes, kind of like free-spirited. I reference Drake in every single one of my meetings.
I almost bought you the candle, and I keep not buying that.
Someone's gonna get it from me.
Okay. Because there's now 2.
There's like a line.
They're very
Don't worry
expensive.
about it.
They're like $40.
Yeah, they're super
I was like,
someone is gonna give you that candle.
And to be clear, I'm literally sleeping on her couch right now. Well, you're moving into a new spot soon. So that's where I'm gonna give you the gift of some sort. Okay.
Her presence is a gift.
Sure.
That's all I need.
I also emptied out her vacuum cleaner one time.
Hold on, I was vacuuming yesterday. It's refilled, bro. I swear, everything you've been looking at.
It's only been a couple months.
Yesterday, before you came, I vacuumed, and I was like, oh my god. I remembered that Chimdy emptied this. Because I was like, have I ever emptied this?
Maybe that's when I should come.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's all the gift I need, honestly. When I tell you, I literally was like, have I ever emptied this? And then I was like, no, Chimdy has once.
I actually, of Of all the things I find very satisfying, emptying out full things is very satisfying to me. Because it's just like wiping the slate clean.
I'm actually getting all hardwood floors, and I was really sad about that because I won't be able to like get that carpet satisfaction of vacuuming.
The lines, you know.
But I'll do it on my rug.
That's true.
Just continuously rubbing vacuuming the hell out of this one rug.
The rug is like, give me a rest. Let me chill.
Fighting for his life. Understanding the culture, you have to understand the culture. If you can't be yourself, it's gonna be really hard for you to feel like you're worthy at all. Chimdi always speaks about how we used to work together, and honestly, one of the huge reasons that I'm still there is because I am so aligned. I get to help folks really get in their bag, and I get to do a lot of career development. I feel like it's home there because I can fully be myself.
That's so interesting because it's true. Like when I was there, I only really cared about doing creative stuff. So I was making videos and I was doing like design stuff, and that was not my job. And in my free time, I was creating YouTube content. And in your free time, you literally are doing what you do for work, which is career coaching. Also, I think what's interesting about understanding an organization's culture is understanding that people make up the organization. Absolutely. There's a stated vision, mission of the organization, and then there's what the people, both are in charge leadership, but also who are the backbone of the organization, what they really think about it. Actually understanding what those people, what their goals are, and how you and your role can help support them is really critical to feeling like, oh wow, I'm really a part of this, because you have that bigger picture.
You're really a YouTuber. I have no idea what's happening.
I know.
Look at me.
And that's a So on that point around relationships, the third way you said to establishing your self-worth is to actually build some dope relationships within your organization. I genuinely think this is how I've gotten as far as I have. I always make sure my managers love me. This is actually advice I got when I first started at my old organization. You make friends up and down the ladder. If you're like a more junior employee, you get scared about thinking about talking to like VPs or C-suite people. But actually, one, they're really cool. Two, they're low-key out of touch. You're actually giving them a service, and you're getting a really good, you're getting your pulse on what's really happening across the organization. And I've gotten so much tea from like folks who are higher up and they just say things and I'm like, oh, interesting. I really recommend just reaching out and doing one-on-ones. How do you suggest folks do that if they don't actually care about their coworkers?
Reaching out and hitting them up on Slack via email.
Brilow don't care about her coworker.
Transparent, right? If I cannot get in with you and be very deep, I want to talk about your kids, I want to talk about your husband, I want to talk about some wild shit you did in your college days, like the real you in the real life. I find that a lot of conversations are just a little too surface level for me, and then I also find some conversations people get a little too deep, and I'm not trying to go there either. And honestly, what I do though is I will reach out to folks and have my questions for them, like what do I want to know about you, and let's just drive the conversation in that direction. To be completely honest, I would say that I just prefer the ones where like I can truly be myself, they can truly be their self. That's how me and Chimdi became so close, because we got I think very quickly
And I interviewed you for the role. Oh, so I think I was so professional.
You scared the heck out of yo. She was asking hard questions. You know how like, you want someone to laugh at your joke and they don't?
Oh,
did I not laugh? And I will literally swear up and down that I'm gonna get a job off of my corny humor alone, and you humbled the hell out of me. I was like, got it. I'm really not that funny. She's like, I was like, what does that mean? I was about to die.
I love it.
And now here we are.
I love that for me. Look at me scaring people.
Look at me on her YouTube channel.
Hey.
Who would have thought?
Also, another great thing about building relationships, like at your current organization, the way they do performance reviews is you actually have your coworkers, the folks that you've worked on projects with, give reviews on like working together. So it's not just about your direct manager or your just direct team. What's true for both of us is that when our name comes up in conversation, when we're not there, it was only ever, because I think once I left, maybe the chit conversation until that point, it was really beautiful stuff. Like whenever your name would come up, it would be like, oh, she's so great, she works so hard, she's so awesome. Like if she's doing something, it's taken care of. And presumably for me, it was like, yeah, Chimdi's the best, she's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, she really definitely left her mark. We still talk about.
Don't lie, do you ever still talk about me?
We still talk about Chimdi to this day.
Don't lie, is that true?
Yeah. Could be because we're close and people know that we're close.
Okay.
And people are like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was a Chimdi in there, you know? So maybe it's that, but I would like to think that even when I'm not in the room, that people are still talking about you. The next way is you cannot solely rely on those relationships, unfortunately. You need to advocate for yourself. When you want something, you have to make it known. A position opens up. I'm not gonna expect Chimdi to put my name out there. Chimdi got her own stuff going on. Chimdi, once again,
I want my own journey.
Chimney might decide to sit there and eat her food this time and not speak. You have to respect that people are not always gonna have your development in the forefront of their mind. I will never forget one of my supervisors. We like laid out expectations of working together, and she literally said, I am not responsible for your development. And I love that because she clarified, like, I'm gonna support you in any way, but please be sure to know that you are responsible for your development. I have a friend who, her boss isn't really caping for her the way that I think her boss would have caped for her. Not to say that there's anything negative going on with the boss, your supervisors are people too, and so you have to advocate for yourself. So if there's a role that you hear is opening up or is opening up, you have to say, hi, I would like to be considered for this role. If you're feeling like you are expecting a promotion in 2 years, you have to say, hi, I'm expecting a promotion in 2 years. How do we go about that? If you're expecting a raise, hi, I would like to talk about a raise. When I see people advocate for themselves and I hear people advocate for themselves, they look like leaders. They look like they're in charge. They look like they know what they want. They look like they're being, you know, just super like intentional about their career. And like, I love that. Don't ever feel like,
oh, I'm afraid to say this.
People are gonna think that I'm greedy, or people are gonna...
no.
I think people think like, oh, they'll just notice all my hard work and they'll just proactively give me more money. Like, does that even sound like America?
There's really no bad intentions, I can tell you right now. I'm not thinking about no one's development except for who I'm on a call with, a coaching call with, and mine. So like, after that call ends, I'm back to my back to my own life. So
we know our worth and we actually believe it. We know our organization. We've got some dope relationships and we're advocating for ourselves. Is there a final thing?
absolutely, and that is being intentional. You have all of these things. How are you going to use them? Things are not just going to happen because you think they will. You hope they will.
I heard this metaphor that was like, if you're in New York and trying to get to California, you're not just gonna, you don't just start driving and like, let's figure it out on the way.
No, some people do. Some people probably do.
It won't be the most efficient way to get there. That is for sure.
At all. So when you're intentional, it's really thinking about who you want to be and how you want to be. If you are someone that's trying to establish this leadership presence, this confidence at work, you want to really think about, okay, what are the ways that I can do that? I had gotten promotion from a coordinator to a manager, and my supervisor and I had a real conversation. She's like, okay, have you thought about how you want to show up as a manager that's different? As a coordinator, I was, how can I help? How can I do this for you? And as a manager, I'm doing things on my own. I'm leading these meetings. Like, I'm going to create the agenda for these meetings. I'm going to delegate. I was speaking up more. I know Chimdi has always told me, like, to make sure your voice is heard in meetings.
A tip I have for that is whenever you're on like a group call and someone asks a question, always be the first person to say something. Ideally have something good to say. You are automatically establishing yourself as a leader, and then you can low-key stay quiet for the rest of the call. You've already made your impact.
Our meeting last week, we had a team retreat, and I spoke up, and I was the first one. I spoke up quite often, and I was taking notes for my girl Chimdi, but yeah, like, I want people to see me as a leader. If I'm up for a promotion, I don't ever want there to be a conversation about, is she capable of doing the job? Is she a director? I want folks to know I have my, you know, my stuff together. I have it handled. Everything that I'm doing, the relationships I have with people, the way that I'm speaking with people, I really value that honesty, but I also value people taking me seriously. I want to talk about really deep stuff. I'm also not going to tell you about like who I slept with. How do I show up really authentically, really myself, but also the version of professional that I want to be as well.
Those boundaries, you know? Have
100%.
boundaries for yourself.
Definitely.
You know? I'm a big believer about like, things are always actually happening exactly what's supposed to happen. And sometimes you might be like, oh, I want to be this way, but I'm being this other way. There's a reason for that. So I think if you're finding that it's a genuine struggle, whatever intention you set for yourself, it feels like it's actually not in alignment with what comes naturally to you, that's actually maybe a sign that like, maybe you really actually shouldn't be at that organization. This advice is great, and I so hope it's resonating with you. And do not try to make things work if they're not supposed to work. If you know you're in a situation that you're not supposed to be in, all of this will it'll only just get you further on the wrong path that you should not be on, okay? So please just be honest with yourself. If you are hearing this and you're like, I know I should be doing this, but listen to yourself, because there's better stuff for you. You could be like hanging out with your dope friends, making YouTube videos or doing creative stuff instead. You don't have to be doing agendas, whatever the f you be doing, girl. That's terrible. I can't relate.
Chimdi used to hate spreadsheets, and I'm like, yo, I love this. Like, this organization really gives me so much thrill. The biggest tip that I give my clients, you know, the folks that I work with now, that intentional piece about every single thing you do, you need to be reflecting on how you feel when you do it. When I'm literally doing an agenda, the smallest things, think about.
How do I feel when I'm doing this? Do I like doing this?
I'm someone who is lactose intolerant, and I kept eating dairy. And then I'm like, my stomach was getting tore up when I would eat pizza. And I'm like, you know what? It really sucks when I wake up in the middle of the night and my stomach is in these crazy cramps. Literally, I would forget those moments of how I felt at night. And so when you're doing a task, you forget how you feel doing that task. Maybe you hate it, but also maybe you love it. I had a session where I was working with some of our members and they wanted to get help on their networking. I told them that I would meet them at their hotel before the conference at 7 a.m.
No, in the morning. Before work.
Would never in my life be anywhere at 7 a.m.
Because you gotta wake up and
I had
then
to travel
get there.
Yep, I loved it. It was so great. It was so amazing. And honestly, one of those members got a job offer from that conference and like sent me all her thanks and stuff like that. And I was reflecting on that and I'm like, I am willing to wake up early when it's for stuff like that. Like maybe I should start thinking about how I could do more of this if I like it so much. That's how I came here. And so being intentional and really just being able to reflect on the experiences that you have. And like Chindi said, if it feels too forced, this might not be for you.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, feel free to return it. Yeah. Perfect.
This is definitely giving porno direction.
Do you love yourself and do you love your job?
Are you being intentional? And how often are you being intentional? Do you think you're being intentional because it's like a word that people are using and you're not really being intentional? Or are you actually really intentional?
Brilow, thank you for taking some time to hang out on my YouTube channel, give the people all this beautiful advice. If you would like some coaching, check out the description box. Bye!